Earlier in the program, we discussed a massive energy bill stalled in Springfield, and now we are back with State Senator Hastings and State Representative Williams and Welter, also State Senator Plummer. To begin with, the governor today issued an mandatory veto on the budget. This had to fix a whole lot of afters that would have meant some of the budget otherwise wouldn't have gone into effect until a year from now. Senator Hastings, how could something like this have happened?
Oh man, it's just like the telecommunications bill. Sometimes there's errors that in the Scrivener's errors as a whole, whether that's dates, whether that's a one word or two words here or there that require corrections. Today in the Senate, we voted to pass a revised version of that to correct those errors. So from time to time this happens. So we did it on the telecommunications bill. There was a minor error that affected the entire bill. So sometimes when you realize a problem, the responsible thing to do is to correct it, and that's what we did today.
Representative Welter, any response to that? Might this have to do with the quick fashion in which the budget was drafted, proposed, voted on?
Yeah, it's a common complaint of ours. You get a bill that's hundreds of pages long and dropped on you a couple hours before you're expected to vote on it. It's a terrible process. It's not a good way to legislate, and things like this happen. But when you're busy sneaking in legislators' pay raises, you're not too concerned sometimes about some of the other details. And that's what we ran into here. We're here, though. The Democrats have the votes, and if they all show up for work tomorrow, we could pass it out of the House.
Now, what of those pay raises? These are something that we've been hearing about. I believe it's about $2,000 extra a year. Representative Williams, do legislators deserve that? Why not?
Well, as you may be aware, there is litigation ongoing as to how legislators' pay is treated. So I think that issue is under consideration right now by the courts, and it will be interesting and helpful to see what the courts advise us in order to move forward. I'm certainly open to looking at a different process for that, but right now what we have in the Constitution is how we're doing it. And I think, like I said, the court should be weighing in on this, and we'll take direction from the courts.
And Amanda, if I could maybe there just intercept. I come from local government, and we're governed by the same statutes of the Illinois Constitution on elected officials, compensation and pay not being changed during a current term. Our locals, whether it's aldermen, county board members, they vote on those compensations before the new boards are elected, just as state statute calls for. It'd be pretty simple for the Illinois General Assembly to throw up on the board right now, prior to the next election cycle, that those legislators will either get a pay freeze. The way it's set up in statute now, though, it's automatic. So we could at any time produce legislation, put it forward. Unfortunately, the majority at this point has chosen not to do that.
Representative Williams, I want to go back to you. It's something that the House is expected to be voting on tomorrow, not an energy bill per se, but the CPS elected school board legislation. What are you hearing from your constituents? How do you plan to vote?
Well, I will be supporting the elected school board bill, as I have several times in the past. It's passed the House probably at least 3 times over the course of the past 4 or 5 years. There's a couple points. First of all, the Chicago School Board is the only school board in the state that is not elected, and we're one of very few major cities that have a non-elected school board. Secondly, I think it's important to keep in mind the way we're structuring this bill ensures that all parts of the city are truly represented. So that is why we looked at the structure that we did. And finally, this is one of the few items where I've actually got some real data as to where my constituents stand. There have been at least 2 electoral referenda on this issue, and both have showed support upwards of 85%. So I will be in support.
House also expected to vote on legislation that would pave the way for quicker processing of firearm owners' identification cards, not mandating fingerprinting, but if you want to get a speedier FOID card, then you would have to give your fingerprints. Senator Plummer, what are your thoughts on that measure, as if the House passes it, it would go to Governor J.B. Pritzker's desk?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty simple. That's not a fix that's going to satisfy gun owners. We're making law-abiding citizens jump through extra hoops when they're just trying to exercise their constitutional right. If we want to fix the FOID, we can just get rid of the FOID, and we can take all of those state police resources and get them out on the street and go after the crime that we know is ravaging our community. This isn't a real solution.
and we might have lost you there. Let's go. I want to be sure to get a better idea. We talked a lot about energy when we initially were chatting, but bringing back to that, again, this massive package, a lot of expectations. Does everybody on this panel believe that an energy package is going to pass before Exelon makes good on its threats of closing nuclear plants? There's also renewable jobs at stake. Is something going to happen? Can I get a quick yes or no from each of you? Senator Hastings.
Yeah, I hope so. I spent the last 3 years working on it, Amanda, and I'll just tell you right now, when it comes down to it, this is going to be the most substantial package of investment in renewable energy, and it'll preserve our position as a leader in the entire country. Our decarbonization plan, whether it's the plan that we have as our working group, is probably the most aggressive decarbonization plan while maintaining people's jobs. When it comes to nuclear fleet, I'll just tell you right now, coming off of COVID, losing 28,000 jobs is not acceptable to me. It's just not.
Representative Williams, is this going to happen?
You know, it needs to happen. We are poised to pass one of the most nation-leading comprehensive climate bills that's been seen. And it has to happen for climate, for jobs, and for recovery from COVID.
Hearing that it has to happen, but hasn't yet. Representative Welter?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
I
think that...
And sorry, we'll leave it there. Senator Plummer, real quick.
Yeah, no, I think we need to make sure that we've got someone there representing the ratepayers. And right now, I'm not convinced that they're going to get everybody at the table.
You're not ready to go for it. All right. Well, thank you
very
much.
For the last few weeks, he's more than invited to attend.
You're welcome to come on in.
You're welcome to
You
join
know,
us.
what we're doing with this energy bill is we're creating a new ethics nightmare in Springfield, because why are we not applying the same rules and the same ethics requirements to the renewables that we are to the nukes and the utilities? I mean, we need transparency in this process. And we
will continue to try and be as transparent as possible by having conversations here on Chicago tonight. I'm afraid we do have to leave it there. Our thanks to Senator Hastings and Representatives Williams and Welter, also to Senator Plummer.